All right, welcome, Senior Home Business family. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Got myself, got Drew, we got Crystal from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Man, we're so excited to have you here with us, one of our partners in TSL, and that's what today is all about, talking about TSL, talking about her business, Prime Senior Placement. So you're going to see on the screen throughout this time, Ben and Crystal, they're actually a couple, absolutely married. They're partners in business, and they have a legitimate business in Baton Rouge, Louisiana called Prime Senior Placement. That's their number if you'd like to call them. And you had any loved ones that are in that area, I'm sure they would love to speak to you and get going with it. But Crystal, we're so glad you're here with us. Kind of give us a little bit of a picture right off the bat. How did you and Ben kind of get involved in senior placement? What kind of motivated you guys to say, this is what we really want to do?
So my background is nursing, and when I first moved to Indianapolis, I had to find something to kind of fill the void of missing my family and things like that. So I ended up doing some nursing in an independent living community, and I just walked in and fell in love. Like it ended up just being absolutely, I was like, this is home. This is where I belong. And my clients there ended up just becoming family to me and their family and so on. And, you just kind of found that they were either in need of that connection of how to take care of daily things, or families need help and resources on how to move whenever they go, maybe from independent to the hospital, then to rehab, and now we need to look at assisted living and things like that. And there's just not a lot of resources out there. And so Ben and I, we relocated for his primary job and down here to Louisiana, where he's from. And so it was just kind of a no-brainer of this is what we need to do. This is where it's at. So
That's awesome. We're so glad you guys are part of the family, not only with our family, but the family collectively across the United States and helping
yes.
seniors. There's such a great opportunity out there, you guys. If you're just tuning in to understand that seniors, man, by 2030, all the baby boomers is staggering. All the baby boomers will be 65 and above. Doesn't mean they're all going to need assisted living, because, Crystal, I'm 56, and I don't think by age 65, I'm going to be calling you guys and say, hey, I need an assisted living community. You
Right.
never know, right? You never know with your ADLs and behaviors and life in general. And unfortunately, in my own personal walk and experience with people that I've known over the years, I mean, some people have had massive heart attacks at 45, and life has just been rocked the world. I've actually placed people in assisted living communities that were in their 40s. Now, there's a
Right.
certain FYI out there. If you ever encounter this, communities will have a certain percentage that they can have under the age of 55. And usually, if it's a care home, it's one out of the
Mm-hmm.
six. Usually, that's the way it rolls. But you can do that. But obviously, you have the doctor sign off and all that. It's not free room and board, or just somebody that wants to be 46, wants to go into assisted living. They got to have the actual care needs of that. So, Drew, welcome aboard, man. We're talking about
Hey, hey.
TSL as well. And man, what is this whole thing about TSL is the Zillow for senior living? What is all that about?
Yeah, it's just kind of caught on as a little moniker to help people understand how they can use TSL and what they can expect to find when they land on your page there. So, Crystal, you have, I think, 60 communities listed
Woo! Yeah,
in
how
the
many,
Baton
Crystal?
Rouge.
60 for the Baton
Oh,
Rouge, New Orleans, and North Shore right
oh,
now.
6-0, not six. You got 6-0.
Yes.
Six zero.
Woo!
Yes. 60.
Nice.
Yes. And so it's a good market for us. So we service 65 and older seniors, about 500,000 in our area. And TSL has just made it so much an added resource for us to be able to reach more in our market and hit those seniors and their families.
Yeah.
Oh, that is amazing. But man, Zillow
Yeah.
search is kind of like when you go in there looking for real estate, you're looking for what? Location, price point, and amenities, right? You want a
Mhm.
house with a pool, fence, all that. With TSL, you're looking at the exact same thing, except for the amenities is the care needs of a loved one. So your loved
Right.
one out there might be needing a Hoyer lift, needle injection because they're diabetic, or might need transportation to go back and forth to the doctor, religious services, whatever it is. They click those boxes, and then the communities will populate to the top. So man, I love it. Drew, I love what you do behind the scenes. Drew is
Mhm.
the man when it comes to scraping your whole territory. So if you are
He
a person
is.
out there that's looking to expand your senior placement business. Like you're part of a franchise, right? And you're part, maybe you're just independent. Like I have been all my time. So not just like you're less than. I mean, if that's the case, I
Right.
guess I'm less than because I'm an independent senior placement agent. But you might be someone that's already in the business and you just want to expand, because I firmly believe, you guys, and I could be wrong, but I firmly believe that you can sustain your business doing it the traditional way going forward. But if you want to scale your business, you really have to have a platform or something like TSL. Now, to date of this video, May 29th of 2025, this is the only proprietary software that's actually operating like this, which is amazing. So kudos to Drew over there getting it done.
Yes.
But let's go back to senior placement real quick, Crystal. What are some of the challenges that you see in this industry? Because I know there's a lot of them, and I really want to be of help to families, and I know you and Ben do as well. But what are some challenges that people kind of can expect as they're maybe embarking upon this senior living journey?
So, one of the challenges that I come across more times than not is honestly a lot of veterans. They don't know assistance is out there to help, comp that difference of maybe their budget. They may think they only have a certain amount to spend in some of these communities, but you find out like they're a veteran or their spouse was a veteran, they served, in wartime, and they either don't know that there's aid and attendance out there, other resources
Mhm.
about there, and so they think that these communities may not fit their budget or they're not going to qualify. And so it's sad that the resources that you can come up with, or I even had a client who has long-term care and she didn't know she had it until I asked about it. And we kind of dug into that. She's in an assisted living community. She was in an independent paying for it when she truly qualified to be an assisted and getting it paid for. Luckily for her, there was no rider, so it was the rest of her life. And so those senior placement agents, it's nice to go through one. It's complimentary. There's no cost to the client. And you just can learn on how to pay for your, things that if your budget doesn't allow that you may have available to you.
Absolutely. I really appreciate your heart in doing that and talking about different programs that are out there. And, I'm hoping and praying there's more programs on the
Mhm.
horizon, because they're few far between. And I used to do a lot of videos before just talking about, man, there's all kinds of programs. And then, man, I started looking more into it. It's like, I got to stop saying that. There's just not a whole lot of programs out there, right?
Right,
Aid and
right.
attendance, and in certain states will have a subsidized program based on
Hmm.
Medicaid or Medi-Cal in California. Now, if you hear me call it Medi-Cal, right, Drew? We just got to be different. We're here in California, so we got to
Right.
call it something else. The other 49 states call it Medicaid, but that's what we mean when we say Medi-Cal. But Drew,
Yes.
getting back to the tech and all, man, I believe TSL empowers our partners with tech and tools. What do we mean by that?
Well, there's I would say, like, going back to that Zillow of senior living,
Mhm.
we really want to uh, help your families to discover senior living options that are a great fit for them and their care needs. And when people try to bring in technology into senior care industry, so many of these efforts fail because they rightly point out, hey, seniors are not that into technology. And you get these tech people coming in with all these whiz bang,
Mhm.
things that aren't really suited for their needs. But the advantage here is, one, we're really working mostly with the adult children of the senior, and we're taking a familiar platform like Zillow and that experience that everyone's using Zillow now, and they're searching
Mhm.
for real estate. They know what to expect when they get on a real estate listing page like that. And so we've tried to mimic that experience and create a familiar user interface for them to browse around. And that's how we're taking tech, but it's not some futuristic
Yeah.
new thing they have to
Right.
learn. It's a familiar tool that people have been using for a decade plus now.
Well, I tell you what, let me tell you a funny story about tech, because you are right. We're in this business, you're talking mainly to the adult kids. My wife and I were in a skilled nursing facility several years back, and we were talking to a family. It was a husband and wife. They were going to an assisted living together, and the husband was back in the room, and I was meeting with the family out in the corridor, and there was the wife, and she was in a wheelchair, and she was 90 plus. I'd say she's around 91, 92 years of age, and she leaned back in her chair, and she went, "Sonny, can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Well, yes, ma'am." She goes, "This place we're going, does it have Wi-Fi?" And I was like, boy, I was blown away. I was like, I did not anticipate that question whatsoever. I don't know what I was thinking, but that would have been the last thing I thought she would have said. But my wife and I just smiled, and it's like, man, you just never know. But to your point, Drew, yeah, most seniors are probably like my dad. Dad, if you're listening to me, forgive me, but I know my dad just doesn't do anything with internet, doesn't know how to get anything. He trusts my mom to get him onto the weather and the sports, whatever. But yeah,
You're totally right though, Matt. I see that now on the homepage of a lot of communities in big bold letters. We free Wi-Fi
Yes.
included. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I love it though. It's good. Well, let's get back to you, Crystal. Tell us a little bit about you and Ben, as far as just not only your relationship. I know you guys love each other, but just maybe the impact you guys can have as a couple, as a team. And a lot of the senior placement agents are solopreneurs. I've got a team now, but when I first started, my wife was doing a little bit of the invoicing, and we started off invoicing on Excel spreadsheets.
Yes.
We did it. Then we graduated to QuickBooks. Now we graduated to CPA over time. But at the beginning, man, we just kind of like bare bones everything. But essentially a solopreneur in the sense of me doing all the marketing, all the sales, and all the tours and things like that. But I think you guys are a power couple, and just kind of speak to the advantage maybe you guys have with families by you guys working this business together.
So Ben handles most of the back end of everything. I always say with my nursing, I just want to love on my patients, my clients. I want to do the right thing and make sure that they have what they need, from medication list to everything, cross all my T's, dot my I's. But Ben on the back end is making sure everything goes well, that the move is scheduled, the transitions. If they don't have somebody, Ben shows up and helps physically move them in.
There you go, Ben.
Yeah, like hanging pictures, like doing the whole thing. So yeah, we're literally doing everything from start to finish. And you'd be surprised. I mean, probably not actually. You personally won't be surprised because you're out there doing it as a man, but they love to see husbands come along. Like they just think it's the sweetest, cutest thing. And they're like, "Oh, your husband's so sweet." I'm like, "What am I?"
What about leftovers? I'm right here.
And so, yeah, but they always love Ben's, or if I call and I'm chatting with previous clients, checking on him and stuff, they're like, "How's Ben? Tell Ben I said hi." And I'm like, "Okay." But yeah, so it's just an added bonus. And, and then too, when you're putting in extra hours or you're taking the calls on the weekends or the evenings, it's like, he knows and he cares. And so it's not like you're working again or turn your phone off or, type of thing. It just gets as passionate about it as you are. And so it does. It makes you, whether you're working with, another partner, your mom, it builds that extra powerhouse couple, like you say, whenever it comes to the business.
Yeah, I love it because you guys are in alignment, right? So it doesn't matter. You just said no matter what you do or are doing, you'll take the phone call. And I think of my wife and I, we could be on a date and we get a phone call, we'll take it. But guys, I'm telling you, if you don't have an alignment with your spouse or your partner or whoever you're with, it probably could create some friction, right?
Absolutely.
I think, maybe some relationships that are, not like that, and they're on a date, and all of a sudden you take a phone call. Hey, work-life balance. That's work. You got the life over here of balance. You're on a date with me, but my wife and I, we just see it as all just life. It's not all work. It's just all life. It's what we do, experiencing, helping people. And, that's just kind of our mission and vision in life. And it sounds like you and Ben are the same way. And I really appreciate that, because you guys, that means they're going to be available. Now, it doesn't mean you call them 2:00 in the morning. Don't do that. Let them sleep. They got to get energized, right?
Yes, it's happened though.
Yeah, but you can call late at night, and they'll get back to you, I'm sure, as soon as they can. And you guys will be there. But man, Drew, I tell you, man, I love it, because in TSL, you're not alone, right? You're part of a community. And I
Mhm.
think, Crystal, you would attest to that in terms of you're part of a
Absolutely.
community.
And that's, I reached out, back in, I think, October. We talked then, but and then you bring on TSL, and it's a powerhouse that kind of comes with the support. And TSL in itself, I feel like, I mean, it sells itself, right?
Yeah.
As far as those things. But when you add the support, the quality, the IT part with Drew and the team, and just literally, I can talk forever about it because it's
Keep going,
really
Crystal. We love you.
right. And I'm like, it's not, I'm not here for the marketing part of it, but it really is. Like Ben waking me up this morning, he's like, hey, we have our extra communities loaded, and it's like, really, that just happened, right? And you're building all these other areas, and yet we're still a priority, and we're not like the latest, right, territory that's been added, and we're still a priority to y'all. So
Absolutely.
it's not like, sometimes you can get something, buy into something, and it's like, okay, well, we're going to give you this up front, and then we'll get to you. And that's not how it is. You guys are always there, and that's what's nice.
Well, Drew, I'll bounce it back to you, man, because I tell you, Drew is the man when it comes to that. If you do join TSL and you're part of our community, don't email me because I'll take days to get back to you. I'll respond quick in a phone call and a text, but Drew is like instantaneous, man, over there. I could email Drew and it's like, bam, he's on it. So, Drew, what's the importance of partners being part of a community?
Yeah, because I mean, there's the technology product piece that is yours that you can utilize. But what's really cool is that we have a weekly group call where you can learn from other TSL partners how they're utilizing this technology, how they're taking the most advantage of what it can do. So you're kind of in a community of sharing best practices. You're also on a private Slack group where you can kind of see how other people are winning with TSL. You can reach out for tech support. We're here, 24/7. And I think that's the secret ingredient that really makes this work. It's not just the technology, it's the people figuring it out together and learning those best practices together.
Absolutely. And man, you might like this a little bit, Crystal, but there's no territory fees, no franchise limitations, just growth,
Exactly.
right? It's just
Exactly.
we like those kind of things, man. And there is a subscription fee, to be honest. I didn't want to not mislead anybody in terms of that, but that's just really to offset the phone numbers and the
Right.
technology and the videos and the service and all that stuff. So there is a subscription fee that we try to make as small as we can. But so I don't want someone to read this and go no territory fees. And Matt just lied because there is a subscription fee involved in that. We keep honesty and transparency in our group. And since you mentioned group, Drew, I love that because that Tuesday TSL partner meeting is so much fun for me to go because we have some testimonies and we'll have some challenges people are going through and just real life stuff, man. It's just like it never kind of ends or like I anticipated because you never know the comments that are going to come out, right? And I love that because it's about life. Sometimes you have a good day, sometimes you have a bad day, and just because you have a bad day doesn't mean you give up on life. You just improve and you move forward. And we do have some testimonies, but we got people to come through and go, man, what do I do about this? This community said this, and I've experienced this with this couple, and I'm trying to reach out to this social worker, and I'm not having any success getting into the door. What do we do? And so what it does, it presents an opportunity to strategize. And I love that. So it challenges me and a lot of the strategies that I have developed over the years and we developed as a team is because of the experience that I go through. And so what I intend to do, just a pro tip for you guys, if you're looking to get into the business, when you encounter a problem, don't focus on the problem right out of the gate. Meaning, like, let's say you face some sort of rejection and then you walk away from it and you're so consumed with the rejection that it just kills you inside and you don't know what to do. What you do is you just faced it. Now look away from the problem to the solution of what you want to accomplish. And what will happen is you'll start to appreciate what you just went through. It'll make you a better person and you'll become more of a problem solver doing it that way. So I didn't always do that in my life. I used to just hit a problem, hit a wall, and go and keep looking at it, right? You got to get it from that 30,000 foot view, right? You got to be able to see the big picture. And so we do that. So, hey, Crystal, with you and TSL, if somebody was out there kind of just sitting on the fence and you're like, I talked to a guy today from New Jersey. So if you're listening today, hey, I'm not necessarily talking about you. I won't call him by his name. I just literally got to call the guy from New Jersey. However, if you're on the fence, and let's say somebody is on the fence about TSL, they're kind of like, okay, is it worth it? What would I gain from it? What would you say to that individual?
So first, I would say if you're questioning it, you can realize there's a 30-day contract. So it's worth, at most, if you don't like it, you're only in the 30-day contract. So you have that. You're not locked in for a year. So, but I would say, like, I can tell you, like, don't question it, right? But why is so in our territory that we work, I mean, we have 3 territories and we were able to build out our area with TSL for that whole area. So, but we're only can go to so many SNFs. We can only go to so many churches or so many different areas to kind of build that. And TSL at least allows to leave your card with, and people can start looking at communities faster. They can start touring like where they want to go with knowing their information's not going to be sold. They're not going to get, 30 phone calls for maybe one community that they're interested in. So it just allows you to reach so many more people and be so much more efficient, and without reaching out to everybody that maybe doesn't really qualify, or they're not going to be targeted, things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I could agree with you more. It's it's a game changer, really it is. And I say that in all sincerity, because not just because I'm part of TSL and those kind of things, but you can do this business in 3 ways, and we talk about this. The traditional way, which is nothing wrong with that. I just don't think somebody could actually scale their business in the time that we are in. But there's a traditional way: get your LLC, get your business cards, go out, knock on doors, and do those kind of things. And that's part of the process. And there's an online approach, and then there's TSL, and there's a technology that you can use that you can actually have, your tablet, and you can get into skilled nursing facilities, or that is TSL right behind me. So I know Crystal's got it on her TV across from her office. And it's just a beautiful way, not only getting to skilled nursing facilities, but when you're talking with families, I love the fact that I get a family online like this, and we talk about options for mom. And I have the questionnaire beside me, and they tell me a few things along the way, and click the boxes, and the communities will populate. And then they have an opportunity. They can either have me continue to go down this traditional path with them, which is fine. I don't mind doing that, being more of an advocate for seniors. I love that approach. However, they might want to do some of the research and phone calls themselves for some reason. And the reason I say this, because that's my personality type. I would rather be more in control of the situation. Yeah, Crystal, give me some information. Drew, give me some information. I appreciate it. I might want you to do a few things, but you know what? I'm going to handle this right here myself. And for that type personality, individual, then TSL is beautifully done in terms of them doing the research and the on their own for these communities. Now, if you get a person that really wants their hand held through the process, they don't want to do anything, all that, Crystal and Ben, they can do that exactly the same way. It's a traditional way. Yeah.
So I also had a client who had a sister out in New York, and she was really POA, the real true, decision maker. Well, you both go online and start searching communities. One of you are going to end up on a certain website. The other one's going to end up on another. And then you're never going to be like, hey, what about the 4th community down? Right. So if they go to our TSL website, they're always going to be on the same page. They're going to be looking at the same information, and it's just much more efficient, even for the families who are just looking online.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really believe you guys, when you go with TSL, you get results, not just resources, even though there's a lot of resources to be had, but it's the results you want. So if you're looking to get into the game of, enhancing your senior placement business or getting into senior placement altogether, TSL will help you get results. It's not just resources, but there are resources, Drew. So, thinking about some of those resources, you mentioned one as far as the TSL Tuesday partner meeting. What else do we do? What else do we provide for them? I know there's a whole bunch. Just give me a couple of them, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's dedicated tech support. So what we do is when you set up your territory, you send us a list of all of the communities that you want to have listed on your page. And then we go in and we pull out the photos, videos, descriptions, care levels, services, amenities, and put those profile pages together for you. So you have these like fully built out listings and profiles on all your communities. We also set up like the AI call tracking, right? So you can actually create a phone number for the community.
Oh, geez.
So people can talk directly to the community. And I think, like you said, Matt, that's how I am too. And I think the analogy we can draw is from real estate, right? Back in the traditional real estate days, you'd go to your agent if you were looking to buy a house.
Yeah.
They would pull down a few curated open houses or walkthroughs for you, and you were kind of like whatever they gave you, those were your options. And now people want to go on Zillow and they want to browse through their own listings. They might still work with the agent to do the deal and whatnot, but that's kind of the pivot in how people are approaching these real estate decisions, like where am I going to live? And so we're leaning into that. So anyway, we set up your profiles, we set up AI call tracking so these families can talk directly to your communities. And then of course we've got just the community on Slack and our Tuesday call. I'm reminded of a great story from this week's Tuesday call, actually, where one of our TSL partners was negotiating a placement agreement with one of the large national senior living operators, their national sales director. And, she got a rebuttal or an objection from the national sales director. Hey, what, this just sounds like a place for mom, isn't it? It's just the same. It sounds like the same thing.
Yeah.
And no, she was able to explain, no, I'm actually the boots on the ground placement agent for my territory. I think she's in the Nashville area.
Yeah.
And there's other areas even within Tennessee. And that completely melted away any objections that this national sales director had. So she was able to learn that and discover that rebuttal and then share it with the rest of the group. So you were able to, all of the other partners suddenly had that rebuttal now uploaded.
Exactly.
Right. I tell you, I love this industry, how it's just evolving, and all industries do. As you look back, it could be, and I've used this example 2 or 3 times, one of my favorite ones, but there's like 50 other examples you can use. But I think about Blockbuster back in the day, and they had the videos and the popcorn. Nobody would ever want to do anything other than go to the retail stores and get the video and get the popcorn and go home and watch it and return it back in 2 or 3 days. And then you get Redbox, right? Redbox came across and got a little bit of that pie. And then Netflix showed up on the scene and said, hey, Blockbuster, you want to buy us? And they're like, dude, nobody's going to watch videos and movies in the comfort of their own home. They love going to our retail store, going out when it's blazing hot, when it's raining and it's snowing. They get in their car and get the popcorn and taking the video back. And like I said before, I don't see Blockbuster anywhere, but man, I see Netflix on my video on my TV every single night. And the industry is evolving. And so, wrap it up for us, Crystal. Tell us a little bit about what's on your heart and how you and Ben just see yourselves helping seniors as you already are and already have, but in terms of just what it means to you to impact a senior's life.
So seniors, they've earned, this is my biggest thing, is they've earned this point in their life. In any way that we can make that simpler and find the perfect community for them, it's just beyond any conversation, any dollar, that anything that you get is just knowing that you have kind of fulfilled later years for them.
Absolutely. Well, Crystal, thank you so much for being with us. Drew, you're always on, man. We're always talking, and it doesn't seem like I'm even visiting with Drew because we're always talking with each other. But if you're out there and you really want to be a part of the senior placement business, you can just click a link down below. If you want more specific information about TSL, there's a link down below. There's a free webinar. There's all kinds of little stuff. I'm not going to go through all this, but just click the link, any link down below. You'll probably start navigating to where you need to be. And maybe you have a ton of questions, and that's just what your consultation call is all about. We don't try to convince you and persuade you to get involved in this industry. We really want people that are empathetic toward the senior generation, right? We want people that put people first, see themselves more as an advocate for seniors. And so that might not be your personality type. And if it's not your personality type, you're probably not going to be that successful in this industry. I mean, plain and simple. I know some people come at it for the money, you know, and it depends on where you are to kind of give you an idea. If you're doing this business part-time, you'll make between 95 to 120. If you're doing it full-time, you'll probably get to 250 and above and close to that $1 million mark. Maybe you'll get there. I know that to be true because what I've done in my business and what some other students have done, but I don't want you guys to think that's the only reason you want to be a part of this business. You want to be a part of this business to help people. And if you don't like helping people and you don't like seniors in particular, you're not going to like this business. Doesn't mean you're actually taking care of seniors. I'm not saying that you are, you know, providing medication for them and you're taking them, you know, giving them a bath and all that. You're not doing that. It's strictly a business where you're actually helping seniors getting to the right community. However, you need to be, you're around seniors. So you got to be able to be appreciative of who they are, man, and what the life they live. I tell you one thing, Crystal and Drew, I'm sure you guys have heard too. I love all the stories I hear. You know, I tell you, I know we teach that in the Senior Placement Institute. We teach that in our community, you know, listen to the story. But that is so impactful to hear someone that's 85 years old has done all this stuff. And I hear some of the things they've done. I'm like, wow, it's amazing. And it just blesses me.
That story you shared today, Crystal, about discovering that the senior had long-term care insurance and didn't know it.
Oh, yeah.
You probably ended up saving them hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. I love it. Love it. All right, you guys. Well, I appreciate you so much being on. Again, if you want to reach out to Ben and Crystal, they are in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. There's the number 225-465-8196. Prime Senior Placement. Let's say that again, Crystal. Prime Senior Placement. I got senior on my brain, so I want to say that name first. But Prime Senior Placement, 225-465-8196 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Until next time, guys, God bless.